Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons and Daggerheart, and we're going to ask the question. Now that we know that Daggerheart has been delivered with a broken, deficient rule set, can Daggerheart still function as a D&D killer? All right. The answer is yes. Yes, it can. What? Explain that, Scott. All right, you got it. Okay, so first of all, if you don't know, I know. Daggerheart has been delivered with a very broken, very deficient rule set. They delivered something that absolutely no one asked for or wanted or can even possibly function well. And that is a high crunch, narrative focused game. No one who actually cares about narrative was asking for a game that was crunchier than D&D. No one, right? And no one that cares about crunch actually cares about narrative. Those two groups are mutually distinct. There is no Venn diagram overlap on these. And this is a broken, deficient rule set. No two ways about it, unquestionably, undebatably. All right, okay. So wait. So if that's the case, how could this possibly function as a D&D killer? That's a good question, and here is your answer. All right, so first of all, how could that work? Well, guess what? In 1974, on February 7th, 1974, Gary Gygax delivered D&D 1E. It had a broken, deficient rule set. It was a hot mess. It had cultural issues. It had mechanical issues. It was broken and deficient in multiple ways, right? How do I know this? Well, I read a 578-page book on it last year, The Making of Dungeons & Dragons from 1970 to 1978. It's a historically important document, it's like a Smithsonian document about Dungeons & Dragons, and it was a hot, boiling mess when it came out, okay? Now, what allowed it to succeed if it had a broken, deficient rule system? Well, first of all, the community picked it up and carried it along until the rule set could be stitched up, sutured, bandaged, and healed, right? And that's the whole of it. And the reason why the community was willing to do that was the innovation that was there was absolutely shocking. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. And people had a sense, oh my gosh, this is going to change narrative forever. This is going to change identity forever. And they were right, okay? Now, does Daggerheart have that? Absolutely not. So what does Daggerheart have? What would possibly allow it to power itself to being a D&D killer? Well, there's a couple things. So one, there is a very tiny so first of all, the critter base is not going to help a whole bunch. And the reason why is critters don't do anything hard. They just watch, right? They just watch. They watch Hollywood celebrities act silly. That's all they're capable of doing, right? Now, within that critter community, I would say that 10% of them are smart, dedicated people with grit, right? And those people, I think you could have as much as 10% of the critter community function as a very powerful, very real community to actually support Daggerheart, to play it, to advocate for it, to champion it, to run it, so forth, right? And it will go on to all three tables that Dungeons & Dragons rolls on, which is kitchen tables, convention tables, and conifer tables. Conifer tables, what the heck is that? That's these guys that have these rooms that cost $20,000 to $200,000, filled with, super high-end, special wood, Amish created, game tables, walls filled with miniatures, $100, dice sets, like these super high-end, super rich, dedicated rooms that are dedicated to D&D. There'll probably be one or two of those built to Daggerheart, right? But it will go, but it could go onto those tables. Okay, so So you do have a very tiny group that will actually do the work of moving the needle forward on keeping Daggerheart alive in this current state with this broken deficient rule set. Is that going to be enough? No, that will not be enough. So wait, if that's not enough, how could it possibly get all the way there? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and you know, I had a discussion recently, and people were like, you know what really moves people? Love and hope. No, hatred and fear moves people. And I can tell you right now, there's a lot of hatred for Dungeons and Dragons, and that could massively help Daggerheart. I think there's going to be a lot of people who really don't give two craps about Daggerheart that will support it and go all in on it, not because they love Daggerheart, but because they absolutely despise Dungeons and Dragons for kicking the virtual crap out of their chosen TTRPG champions for 5 decades. Dungeons and Dragons is an absolute banger winner, and a lot of people hate it, and that is a very powerful force. Okay, so they've got a group of dedicated advocates, very tiny, but it could be powerful. They have a large group of D&D haters who could run it, play it, support it, advocate for it, not out of love for Daggerheart, but out of absolute burning hatred for Dungeons and Dragons. That's a real force. Okay, and then there's one more thing there's two more things there's a little bit more that's in there. What else? Hollywood celebrity. Critical Role is filled with Hollywood celebrity, Hollywood celebrities. Like Ashley Johnson's, like, you know, not even just a voice actress. Like, she's on The Last of Us. Like, she's literally a character in The Last of Us. That's a real show. That's, you know, at real scale. You know, millions of viewers, real reviews, the whole nine, right? Like, and Hollywood celebrity is one of it. I actually believe American celebrity is more powerful than money. It is the most powerful secular force on the planet, bar none. It is extremely powerful. So that is one force that could really help it. There's two others. One is Matthew Mercer. Never count that guy out. He is a once in a millennium brilliant polymath, kind of. Like, he's incredible, and you can't count him out. He is without a doubt the Michael Jordan of TTR, the Michael Jordan of Dungeon Masters. Okay, all right, now, and then there's one. They got one more, and that is Orion Akaba. So Matthew Mercer is the most important. Matthew Mercer is actually the second most important Dungeon Master on the planet. B. Dave Walters is the first, but you know, it's podium level. Matthew Mercer, he is very important. The most important Dungeons and Dragons player, the most important Dragon Master on the planet is Orion Akaba. He is culturally important, and he is historically important. Matthew Mercer he's a foundation stone. You can build on him. What is Orion Akaba? He's a catalyst, right? He was explosive 10 years ago, and I think he could be explosive now in ways that are unexpected, and that could really serve as a nitrous on Daggerheart. Now that's tough though, because that's going to be hard for Critical Role to do, and generally Matthew Mercer does the hard stuff, right? But generally the rest of Critical Role are like the critters. They're not really up for anything hard. So, but it's all real, right? Matthew Mercer, a real force to be reckoned with. Orion Akaba is a real catalyst. Critical Role is filled with actual Hollywood celebrities. They have American celebrity power. D&D hate is a very powerful force. And last, within the critter community, there is a kernel, a tiny little kernel of actual powerful, useful advocates. And that could get Daggerheart all the way there to functioning as a genuine, real D&D killer. So even though Daggerheart has been delivered with a deficient, broken rule set, it still has the possibility of functioning as a D&D killer. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.